You're listening to the Joel Martin Mastery Podcast, your source of music news, stories, and 2-hour deep dive interviews with bands that have sold over 150 million albums. If you've been enjoying the podcast, please take a moment to subscribe, like, comment, and share. Now let's dive in to today's episode. Welcome to the Joel Martin Mastery Podcast. Thank you for joining us. We really appreciate it. We are joined by a very special guest. He's achieved a level of mastery as the singer and guitarist for the platinum-selling and 2-time Juno-nominated band Faber Drive. So welcome to the podcast, Dave Faber. Dave, how are you? And is it true that you have just an absurd amount of hobbies outside of music?
I don't think I do have an absurd amount of hobbies. I actually think I need to get more hobbies. My life just pretty much revolves around music and then management of Powfu and management of my daughter, and that's just pretty much what I do 24/7. I oftentimes find myself just sitting in my office working till midnight, 1 or 2 in the morning, getting up, doing the same thing every day in, day out. So hobbies, I don't think I have enough hobbies. Like I don't game. I don't do a whole lot of extracurricular stuff.
What about the hunting, the camping, the snorkeling? There's lots of hobbies there.
Yeah. Those are all like once a year type hobbies. Like
you have lots of hobbies, you just don't do them because you're busy with music.
Yeah, that's exactly it.
I like to start these interviews by sharing with the listeners how the guests and I know each other. So in our case, a few years ago, I did an interview with Dan Todd, who's played drums for Platinum Blonde, for Honeymoon Suite. Now he's with 416. I got a little shout out here, 416.
Oh, no way. Oh, sweet.
After the interview, I always ask the guests if they can think of anyone that would make for an amazing guest in the future. And his answer was Dave Faber. And that's how we ended up here today. And I wanted to kick off this interview powerfully. So I reached out and got some help from Dan Todd, who sent in some kind words. He says, Dave is a dear friend and as real as they get. He's also a great guy. I remember the day we met, probably back almost 20 years ago on a festival we were both playing at. He instantly became my brother. He's so genuine, I can't even explain. He's a true friend who walks with the Spirit of God surrounding him, and he leaves it on you when he heads off. I love you, brother. That's from Dan Todd.
Oh, wow. Yeah, man. Love Dan. He's a great guy, man. And he's a twin too, which is also really cool. And yeah, no, I love Dan, man. He's always been so supportive of me and the band, and just a great guy, great drummer, great performer. Always fun. We do I think it's called teppanyaki. I always forget what it is. That's the teppanyaki is the one where they fry it in front of you kind of thing, right?
Sounds like something Dan would like.
Yeah, it's good. He took me on, I think, a couple times to the teppanyaki place in somewhere in Ontario. I'm so bad with like locations.
I think he's in Burlington, Ontario, outside of Toronto.
Yeah, I think so. I think that sounds familiar. And he was living on a houseboat for a long time. I don't know if he still is. But I've been telling him I want to come visit your houseboat for years and years and years, and I never have. It's just getting to Toronto and getting to Ontario it's across the country, and I just don't get out there enough. I've been meaning to get out there because there's a whole bunch of songwriting sessions I can do, a whole bunch of people I can visit, all that stuff. Unless I'm on tour with Powfu, then or even Faber Drive, then I'll definitely be hitting people up when I'm out there.
We're going to do a full 2-hour deep dive interview. We're going to cover your life, your career, your discography. There's so much to get to. 2026 is going to be a huge year for the band, but I want to get started all the way at the beginning. Where does this love of music come from? Do you have an earliest musical memory that stands out to you?
So there's a few. So my dad always had a guitar kind of kicking around. I remember it was like a hollow body. I don't think it was a Gretsch. I can't remember exactly. Or semi-hollow. I don't even know like guitar terms and stuff. I'm so like oblivious to so many things. But he always had a guitar kicking around. He kind of always had like garbage, like acoustic guitars kicking around too. And I remember he used to play like once in a while, but he didn't play a whole lot. But he always had this like guitar. It was a nice guitar from what I remember. Um, but he always had this like guitar. It was a nice guitar from what I remember. Um, but he always had this like guitar. It was a nice guitar from what I remember. Um, but he always had this like guitar. It was a nice guitar from what I remember. Um, but he always had this like guitar. It was a nice guitar from what I remember. Um, And so that came, like kind of a little bit of inspiration there. And then, so I grew up going to church, and like my mom was like, there's 7 of us children. If you're not singing, you're getting a smack. So, um, we were all every Sunday whenever we'd go to church. We didn't go every Sunday, but most Sundays we'd try to go. We all had to sing. We'd stand in the lineup, and my mom was like, her heart was in the right place, but I swear she was the most tone deaf person I ever met. And she was singing so off key at the top of her lungs, praising God, hands up, everything, just heart pouring out. And I remember singing and being like, man, I don't know if I can sing in key with my mom singing here beside me. But we always had to sing in church. So I think a lot of my love for music comes from that. And then I also remember my dad had a record player. And I remember just being a curious kid. Like, dad was always working, always on the job doing construction. And he would do exterior finishing, and then he also did framing and a bunch of other stuff. But so, there were 7 kids at home. You gotta figure out, like, there's no being bored. You figure out what to do. Like, you make your own stuff. So anyways, record player, I would go in there and in the living room, and I remember just seeing these records, and I was like, well, this one looks cool. And so I put it on, and it was, well, I hear the train a-coming, it's rolling around then, right? It was Johnny Cash, Folsom Prison Blues, and I remember just being like mesmerized by like how cool it sounded. It had that train feeling. So that was one thing that really really like connected with me. I was like, oh man, it sounds so cool. And then another thing that connected with me, I remember being in grade 5, and my buddy who came to my birthday party, his name was Nathan Sinclair, who ended up punching me in the head randomly at school one day. That's a different story. Nathan Sinclair, I don't know where he is or what he's doing. I haven't talked to him since grade 5. But he bought me a cassette tape going way back. Bought me a cassette tape, and it was Michael W. Smith. And that for me was like a massive influence and a massive thing for my life, because I remember getting that cassette tape and like opening it and looking at it. I remember the way it smelled. Like it was like smelled amazing, and it like smelled like a fresh cassette tape. And I folded out, read all the lyrics, and it had a picture of a boy on the front, and it was called Michael W. Smith, The Big Picture. I believe it was called The Big Picture, yeah. And I listened to that album. I still listen to it. I don't know how many times I listened to that album, but I listened to it over and over and over and over again. And but all that stuff was like before I ever actually became a musician, and before I even really had any interest of kind of becoming a musician. I didn't really think about being a musician at that point in my life.
And at what point did you go from just listening to music and loving it and singing at church to actually picking up that guitar that's lying around? And I believe you also played drums at some point.
When I was in grade 8, my dad said to me, like, my dad was always kind of like, he was a musician when he was younger, but then life and all that stuff. He was the oldest of 10 children, and there was a lot of pressure put on him to be responsible and make a path for the family and all this stuff. He ended up actually going into the psych ward at one point, because he couldn't handle. I think he was 19 when that happened, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's just sometimes life and pressures of life can push you in certain directions, and certain things can happen. So he says to me in grade 8, he's like, "Hey David, do you have any interest in playing drums?" And I said yes. From what I remember, I said yes. But then he never mentioned it again. And I remember about a month later, I was like, "Hey, Dad, you asked me if I was interested in playing drums like a month ago or something, but you never said it. I told you I was interested." And he's like, "Well, you didn't seem that interested." And I was like, No, I'm really interested. I want to play drums. I want to play drums. And so anyways, so I guess he goes and does some homework, and money was tight in our family, 7 children. He was doing construction. He wasn't making a lot of money. And so just the food alone, I can't even imagine what the grocery bills would have been like. He got in contact with somebody, and he found a drum set, a Ludwig drum set, which is a really nice set. He found it for $1,000, which was a great deal because it came with everything, cymbals, hardware, everything. And he said to me, he's like, "If I buy this for you, Are you actually still interested? And I said, 100%. I definitely want it. He's like, okay, listen. He's like, this is the rule. If I buy this for you, two rules. You can only ever play Christian music on it, and you have to practice every day. And so he promised up and down, yeah, 100% I'll do all that, right? And then so he bought me the drum set. And so he bought me the drum set, practicing every day, all excited I got this drum set. And then I had it for a while. I was probably practicing for a while. I think it was around grade 9. I remember being at school, elementary school one day, and I come to school and everybody's saying to me at school, I was in grade 6, so this is going back. I was in grade 6 and everybody's saying to me, man, you missed out yesterday. Colin came here. Colin Friesen was a guy in school, and he played his guitar at lunch. It was awesome, man. You should have heard it. And I was like, what? This guy played guitar? At lunch, I want to hear this so bad. So anyways, I found Colin, and I begged him to show me his guitar. And he's like, well, you can come over at lunch, and I'll play it for you if you want to hear it. So I go to his house at lunch. Dude, he had this red Fender. It was like a Lamborghini to me. It just looked like insane. Or Maybach, whatever the new vehicles are. And he's playing Sweet Child of Mine like that. It's just like, and it was like, felt like it melted my face. I was just blown away. First of all, the guy was a great guitar player. But secondly, like just hearing that in person for the first time and never having heard an electric guitar, with distortion and all that stuff. And so that was very inspiring for me. So anyways, years later, when I got my drum set, I found his number and I phoned him up and I was like, hey, Colin, I remember you play guitar. I want to start a band. I just got a drum set. And so he says to me, he's like, oh, dude. He's like, sorry, man, I already got a drummer. My cousin's playing drums. And I was like, what? I was like, dude, are you serious? I'm like, you don't. Anyways, he's like, no, man, I'm sorry, bro. I got a drummer. So I was like, so heartbroken, hanging up the phone. And I was like, so frustrated. I was like, you know what? I don't care. I'll do anything. So I call him back. I'm like, I'll do anything. Do you need any position filled in the band? And he's like, well, we need a singer. And that's literally how I started singing. I had no idea what I was doing. And I didn't really play guitar. I was literally just this guy that wanted to be in a band. And then I became the singer.
When did you start songwriting? Was it once you were in that band, you're like, okay, well, now we need songs to sing?
I started songwriting around the same time, and with the band, with the band. So I would just noodle on the guitar. Like this was the type of songs I would write back then. But I was always like, oh, I just love the sound. I love the sound of the guitar. So I'd be like. That's what I would play on guitar. And I'd be like, oh, it sounds cool. And then I would start just like finger picking. I'd be like, oh, that sounds kind of cool. What should I do? This was like one of the first songs I wrote. Like just super basic stuff, right? But I just loved the sound of it, and it felt inspiring to me. And even though it sounds like garbage and there's nothing going on there, like it's not exciting to anybody who's like a guitar player or anything, I was inspired by it. And so I just always loved playing. And then another thing that was really inspirational for me was like in the Bible, there's this section of the Bible called the Psalms. And the Psalms, I don't know about the majority of them, but I think the majority of the Psalms I think it means songs. And one of the greatest kings that ever lived, his name was King David, and he wasn't perfect. He made mistakes, but he would go to God when he would make the mistake. So anyways, he would write songs to God, and it was always like his people were always trying to kill him and take him out of power, but he always trusted in God, and so he'd write these songs to God, and that was also really inspiring to me too.
I put out the bat signal for fan questions once we scheduled this interview. So I'm going to sprinkle some fan questions throughout the interview. The first one is from Anne McGowan, and her question is, Dave, what's your superpower?
What's my superpower? Well, I don't feel like I have any power. It's the only power that I have is the power that God has allowed me to have. So all glory to God for sure. But if there are some things that I'm good at, like again, there's so many things I'm not good at. Like I'm not a guitar guy. I'm not a tech guy. I don't remember the cities I've been to. There's so many things I'm horrible at. But I feel like after years and years and years of doing what we were just talking about, like songwriting and stuff, I actually feel that that is one of the things that brings me the most enjoyment. I love co-writing. I love jumping in, like I love going to Nashville and getting in rooms with like like-minded songwriters and like when you for me like songwriting, so many people are like, oh, I could write those lyrics, or oh, I could write that song, and it's like, oh, it's simple, it's three chords or whatever, but it's like, and there you can do that, like anybody can write songs, but when you've worked with the masters of songwriting and you've seen the difference from somebody who says or thinks that they're a songwriter but they have no real experience with co-writing and understanding how the masters think about it and how fast and how good they are and stuff, it's like it's so much fun for me, and it's so exhilarating. And there's like, there's some of my favorite songwriters that I've written with are like guys that probably a lot of people have never even heard of. There's a guy named Dave Thompson in Nashville. He's amazing. He was in a band called Wave, and he's one of my favorite songwriters to write with. Another guy is a really good close friend of mine, Jimmy Thau. He's absolutely amazing. So much inspiration comes from that guy when you write with him. And then there's guys like, like Chad, and then there's guys like Pierre Bouvier and Chuck Kumo, and even Joey Moy was crazy. Jeff Johnson is another really, really good songwriter. There's so many really good songwriters, but again, understanding that world, and it's taken me years to, and I'm still not a master at it, but I do feel like it's one of those things that I'm a little bit better at than anything else in my life, I would say.
So let's dive into your career with Faber Drive. So the band formed in 2004, but before there was Faber Drive, there was Faber. You ran into a little bit of legal trouble and there was a name change. Can you explain how that went down? I mean, you should be able to use your own name. Come on.
Yeah. It was tricky at the time. We were looking for a name. Our producers suggested just using my last name, like, oh, let's go with Faber. And instantly I did not like it at all, because I was like, oh, it just seems cocky. Like this was the time when, this is back in the day where there was more band names than there was like solo artist names. And I didn't want it to be about me. And I still don't want it to be about me. I always want to rely on my band members and feel like it's a team, right? With the group thing. So I didn't like it. But anyways, I went home and I talked to my friends and family, and everybody's like, "That's awesome." Obviously, my family's gonna like it, but so we liked the name. And then our lawyer at the time, his name was Chris Taylor. His name is Chris Taylor. He was Avril Lavigne's lawyer, Nelly Furtado's lawyer. He was Drake's lawyer for like 10
Metric.
years. Metric. Great guy, amazing guy. I love that guy. And still to this day, he's a really good friend. He and co-manager now. But anyways, that's a different side. So he suggested to us, he's like, hey, look, you can go with Faber if you want, but the chances of there being some sort of a lawsuit and stuff, because there's so many, he found a bunch of companies that were named Faber and stuff. So he suggested to find something that, one of the things he suggested, I remember, is he was saying if you can make up a word like that is like nobody's ever used this word, that's actually one of the best ways to come up with a band name or an artist name is a made up word. And then so we were like, okay, we'll take his suggestion. He's our lawyer, he's wise. So we were like, what about like Faber Drive? And we were thinking, and I can't remember, I'm sure I have lists somewhere in some of my notebooks of different band names we were thinking of. And what happened was, I don't know, do I have the logo in here? I don't think I do. I could probably pull it up and share my screen. Okay, can you see the Faber Drive written on
Yep.
that photo in the center of the screen? So you see how the A and the V are connected?
Mm-hmm.
We really liked the A and the V. It looked like a yin yang kind of thing. It looked like a symbol. So we always wanted to keep that symbol. And that was the best name that we came up with. So it's a long, boring story, but that's kind of how we came up with the name. We did make a video though, which I still actually kind of love, but it's very low res. Actually, I wonder if we could make it high res in AI or something. It's like super low res. I think it's called Chapter 1, the story or the name of Faber Drive, and it's me driving a pickup truck before when you could be on your cell driving a pickup truck. Anyways, the video is kind of funny, and it's kind of a joke on how we came up with the name. I don't know if you've seen that video.
I haven't. You'll have to send it to me.
Okay.
I was always curious. The word drive can have two meanings. So there can be someone driving, or you can live on Park Drive, like it's a road. So is it in the name of the band? Is it Faber is driving, or is it Faber lives on Faber Drive?
I wouldn't say it's any of the above.
We just wanted the logo to work.
Yeah, we just wanted the logo to work, and it was the best logo we came up with. And then there's, yeah, some people are like, drive, does that mean ambition? And it's like, I mean, it could, but to be honest, we just, the word just kind of
I guess there's a third meaning then, drive, like your ambition. That's true. Do you remember what the music scene was like back in 2004? And do you remember playing your first ever show as Faber Drive?
First show as Faber Drive. So, no. I remember some shows, but I don't remember which was the first show. I remember being so there's a bunch of bands that I was so that guy that I was talking about, Colin Friesen, who played guitar for me at lunch hour, he we ended up like hitting it off and becoming friends, and me being in the band with him. The first band was called Total Jids, Toadl, and then Jids. It was just a word we made up. Same sort of thing. And that band hung out for a while. Colin was the guitar player. I was a singer in that band. Nathan, who's Colin's cousin on the drums. That band we did 2 full-length albums with. First album was called Flibbity Ibbity Jiddit, and the second album was called Thoughts. They were tape cassettes, so going way back. And then after that, that band broke up, and I started another band where I was the lead singer and guitar player, and Colin was on drums, because Colin, as good as he is on guitar, he was even a better drummer. And so that was a 3-piece pop punk band. So then when that band kind of started breaking up, I started teaching. Oh, I should show you this thing. Oh, I still got it. It's actually on the insert of, we have a special album. I'm not going to say exactly what it is. We have a special album coming out this year, and on the inside of that, there's a collage on the inside of that album, and there's a piece in there. You'll see a piece of paper if you end up seeing the inside of it, and it's the very first drum lesson I gave our first drummer in Faber Drive. He would have been 13, 14 years old, and I believe it's dated back to 2001. I think it's April, and it's a little piece of this drum lesson I gave. So anyways, I remember having him I was like kind of training him how to play drums and training him how to be in a band, because I'd been in bands for a long time. And we did a gig, so it was me and his name's Raymond, Red Bull, and he was actually my girlfriend's little brother at the time, Red Bull. So it was me, Red Bull, and then our bass player, he was a guy named Steve Clausen, great guy. Anyways, my little brother comes to the show. So this is going back to your question of, do you remember the first show? And we're playing outside at some community park, and there's 10 people in the park, and we're playing under this shelter. There's a horrible sound. We got our whatever, doing our punk stuff, and I think we're doing some early Faber Drive stuff. And my little brother comes up to me, and he's like, David, he's like, I love you, and I have a lot of faith in you, and I know that you're wise and all this stuff. He's giving me all these compliments, but he's like, what are you thinking with this kid on the drums? I was like, Josh, I'm like, you gotta trust me. This kid is gonna be insane. He's got the talent, he's got the drive, he's got the consistency. He's not good yet, but just trust me, he's gonna be amazing. Yeah, and that Red Bull. If you watch like the When I'm With You video, you watch the Tongue Tied video, a Second Chance video, that's Red Bull, and he's just awesome drummer. Great guy too. I don't know if that gives you the complete answer of, do I remember the first show? That was kind of maybe the first show. I think maybe City Limits in Abbotsford was the actual real first show that we had with Faber Drive, but
In 2006, you guys released the 3-song EP, the Faber EP. This is before the name switch. Man, already at that point, you're working with heavy hitters. You have Joey Moy, Brian House, Josh Ramsey from Mariana's Trench, Dave, is it Gen? Is that how you pronounce last
Dave
name?
Gann,
Dave
yeah.
Gann, Matthew Goodband, and 5440. How did you attract that dream team that early on in your career?
That's a really good question. I remember the defining moment for me. One thing that happened is I remember being very, very frustrated. I kept having band members that quit. And so basically Seed broke up and both my drummer and my bass player quit. And I had 2 full-length albums that we made with Seed. I had 2 full-length albums that I made with Total Jids. And I was so frustrated and I was like, what is going on? I want to be a musician. I want to be in a band, but it seems like nobody else wants to be. I'm going to find the best producer I can find and I'm going to hunt him down because as far as I'm concerned, I just need to get in the studio with the best producer that there is. And so at that time, How You Remind Me, Silver Side Up, Nickelback, was the biggest song in the world. It was #1 everywhere, played 24/7 on radio. So I had heard that it was maybe Vancouver. I looked on the back of the CD, producer's name, Joey Moy. Recorded at Greenhouse Studios in Vancouver, BC. So I called, I think back in those days, you could call a phone number, I think it was 411 or something, and it would give you, you could ask for phone numbers of different things. I think it was like, so I asked for Greenhouse Studios and it gave me the number for Greenhouse Studios. It might have even been on the back of the CD. I can't remember, but I phoned the studio and they're like, Greenhouse Studios. I'm like, hi, I want to record a new album with a really good producer. I just finished recording. I didn't tell them I didn't tell the girl that the band had broken up. I just said I have 2 full-length CDs with my band. We want to move up in production. And she's like, oh, do you have any producers in mind? And I was like, Joey Moy. And she says to me, this is literally what she said to me. She goes, oh, that's so weird. She's like, he's on a break right now. Do you want his cell number? Like he's on a break from not producing or recording or anything. And I'm like freaking out. I'm like, yeah, for sure. So I get a pen and paper and I wrote down his cell number. And I mean, Joey, dude, that guy, I've learned more from anybody in the music industry. I haven't learned anything. I've learned the most I've ever learned about the music industry from Joey Moy. That guy, genius, best producer I've ever worked with, hands down. I mean, now the stuff he's doing now. But anyway, so I bugged him. I just started like calling him and texting him like once a week kind of thing for months. And he's like, look, man, he's like, drop off your CD at my house. So I dropped off the CD at his house. He gave me his home address, which was crazy. I left it at his house. He's like, hey, man, nice to meet you. So I give him the CD. He's like, oh, listen, I'll get back to you. He never got back to me. I kept bugging him some more. Finally, he hits me back. He's like, hey, man, he's like, why don't you get in the studio with my assistant and record some of the new songs you're working on? And so I was like, okay, sure. Right. And he's like, you got to pay him a few $100 or something. I was like, yeah, that's no worries. So I go and pay Condor. I can't remember. Alex Alagazakis, I think his name is. Great guy. And I go in and record these acoustic songs. And I recorded like four or five little ideas, just acoustic ideas. And I don't hear crickets, right? I don't hear anything from Joey Moy again for weeks. And I'm like freaking out. I'm like, what's going on? So I end up calling him, nothing, texting, nothing. And then finally he hits me back like a month or two later. And he's like, hey, dude, he's like, those songs that you did with my assistant, he's like, they're actually like some decent stuff in there. He's like, most of the times I get people to just give me stuff and it just sounds like garbage. And he's like, but there's actually some cool stuff in here. And he's like, anyways, he encouraged me to set up a little home sort of computer mic studio and start recording demo acoustic ideas for him. So I did that. Another 6 months of that. And I would send him a song idea once a month. And it was probably like 6 months down the road. He calls me up out of the blue one day. He's like, hey, dude, what are you doing today? I'm like, oh, I'm just, working and writing songs and stuff. He's like, do you want to come to the studio and finish the song that you just sent me? And it was a song called Everything. Actually, I'll play you that lick for a second too. That one was kind of a cool lick.
Ooh, a little
See if I
drop
can
D.
remember it, actually. Yeah. Anyways, on electric guitar. That was the riff. And the song was called Everything. So I go to the studio, I'm freaking out. And the studio I go to is Chad Kruger's studio. It was in Abbotsford. And Joey's in there and he's like, hey, man, let's work on the song. And then that's kind of when we hit it off. And then he brought Brian House in. Chad got involved because it was Chad's studio. And yeah, it was off to the races from there. That's when we started recording the 3-song EP and then the album.
On the
Long answer.
On the strength of that EP, you ended up signing with 604 Records to release the full-length album?
Yeah, we did. We ended up signing with 604 Records. Chad, one day at the bar, we do a show, and like 604, there's a bunch of labels coming out and booking agents and stuff. It was kind of a bit of a buzz on Faber Drive at the time. I think it was actually just still called Faber. And Chad says to me at the back of the bar after we play, he says, he's like, hey, Faber. He's like, I think he said, like, yeah, I want to sign you or something. He's like, I want to sign you to Faber Drive. And I'm like, why the hell would we do that? And then he goes, you're signed. And that was pretty much how we signed with 604. So it was Chad and Joey and Jonathan Simpkin, another amazing guy. It was the whole team. It was pretty crazy.
So in 2007, you guys released the album 7 Second Surgery. There's 4 singles: Second Chance, Tongue Tied, When I'm With You, and Sleepless Nights. What thoughts, memories, emotions come back to you now when you think back to that album that really kickstarted this 20+ year journey you've been on since then?
It's crazy. I was listening to your Jeff Stinko interview yesterday, and it's funny how the way that the artist remembers things and the way that fans remember things is like often two completely different things. So like for me, when those songs came out, I just remember being stressed, like being excited. Like I remember the first time I heard Second Chance on the radio. That was our first single. And I remember being so excited about it. And I remember running around and yelling and screaming. It was 99.3 The Fox that played it first. It was amazing. Shout out to 99.3. And but then touring and like trying to make it and trying to figure out the business side of things plus the life side of things. I mean, at that time I was a young married man, and I believe I had two kids at that time already. And so it was like, how do I make this work without losing my, you know what I mean? Like without losing my family for one, and then without losing my morals and my existence and like who I am as a person. Very, for me in my mind, it was stressful times. And I remember being on the road and trying to, another thing too, which was a big issue for me, was alcohol. So I wouldn't call myself an alcoholic, honestly, but I definitely struggled with alcohol. So like, I mean, I'm sure like alcohol, if somebody is not good at controlling their alcohol, it can really affect their life. And I think that's one of the reasons that we actually didn't become bigger than kind of what we were at the time, is because alcohol just affected me in ways that it wasn't beneficial to the band. It's crazy right now though, because it's kind of like having a resurgence with the Faber Drive stuff, and we have the most monthly Spotify listeners we've ever had. But I feel like it's from the songs like 20 years ago, like the songs you're talking about, like Tongue Tied and When I'm With You and Sleepless Nights and Second Chance. I also remember the Second Chance video. That was the first video we ever shot, and that was in LA. It was $100,000 budget. So we signed with Universal Republic, and that was through Joey Moy and Chad and Brian House and Jonathan Simpkin. They helped us get that deal. So, but they had $100,000 budget to shoot this video for Second Chance. So we're shooting this video. It's all great and everything. And I remember we get to like 10 p.m. at night, and the producer says, "Oh man, we're running out of money." And I should have hit him. Like I was so angry, and it just threw me off for the rest of the video. It was like, just, little things that you remember about the years gone by. But, I also remember like shooting the Tongue Tied video. That was a lot of fun. I remember telling the producer, I was like, listen, We shoot the video for Todd. That was a lot of fun. The first video really rubbed me the wrong way. Like I do love the video. I think it's an amazing video, but there's business side in the back, business stuff that you remember that drive you nuts and stuff. And I think it's a funny video too. It's with the Groundhog's Day idea. But the tongue-tied video was a guy named Colin Minahan who shot that, who actually, I believe he shoots horror films now in LA. But I was like, look, man, I want slow-mo and I want water. I said, I don't really care what you do with the story. I just want it to look epic. Because all the music videos I had seen at that point in time that I loved had slow-mo and they had like cool like water stuff. And I love in movie scenes when you see like water splashing and like slow-mo and like looks epic. So I wanted it to look epic. And that was my thing when I told Colin. I was like, that's what I want. And I want like super slow. So he made it look, and I think that first video, Tongue-Tied, like when Hensley jumps around with the guitar and lands in the water and it splashes, it's just so epic to me. And like the shots of Red Bull and the drums and he's smashing in the road. I just love that video is definitely one of my favorites for sure. That was a fun one to make.
Tongue-Tied is when I became a fan of Faber Drive. I remember hearing that song when that chorus hits. It is just undeniable. Like the first time I heard it, I'm like, yeah, that's going to be huge. Did you know when you finished writing that song and then when you finished recording the song and heard the final product, did you know you had something special there? Like to you, you had 4 hit singles on the album, but to you, is that one, did it sound more special than the others, or is it just me that loves it that much?
I honestly don't think I had any clue. I had a lot of faith in our producer, and I had a lot of faith in Chad and Brian in those days and I had to, because these guys were guys that knew what they were doing. You got to remember, I didn't know anything about, like, remember how we talked about songwriting earlier and like how like when you work with the masters, you work with the Dave Thompsons and the Jimmy Thous and the guys like the guys from Simple Plan. When you work with these guys that have been doing it for years and years and years, and they understand the craft and they understand melodies and they understand lyrics, you learn a lot and you learn it quickly and you start realizing really fast that, oh shit, these guys actually know what they're talking about. So Chad honestly wrote most of that chorus for Tongue Tied. So and I was just kind of like, I was just still kind of new at it, and he actually had another chorus. And I remember I think I told him, I was like, oh man, I don't know if I like that chorus. So he came back with that chorus that we have now. And the original song that I had was a song called It Ends, which you can actually find on YouTube, I believe. It's called It Ends. There's a crummy recording of it on Spotify, but the real recording, the original version of Tongue Tied is a song called It Ends, and I believe the original one is on YouTube somewhere. Yeah, we just basically massaged that song, tweaked it. Like when you're working with like guys like Joey, and it's very, very, and like Chad and those guys, they're very meticulous about like the lyric has to be amazing, the melody has to be amazing. So we're doing like, it wasn't like we didn't sit down and like, I'm sure the fans would love for me to say, hey man, I sat down and I wrote this song in 5 minutes or half an hour or something. Did not happen like that at all. This like tongue-tied, even when I'm with you, Second Chance, Sleepless Nights, all those songs. I would say maybe Nights was maybe the fastest of all those 4. Second Chance, there was like 10 of us in the room when we wrote Second Chance. And again, the concept was Chad's concept. That one was a lot of fun to write too. When I'm With You was another fun one to write. But yeah, it wasn't like, it didn't happen like that, which I would love to be able to say that, but it didn't. So
the music video for Tongue Tied went to #1 on the Much Music countdown. Did you ever experience it on Much Music, like you're watching and it came on?
yeah, oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, we definitely were watching Much Music. We were definitely fans of Much Music, and they were always so good to us. It seemed like I think we had 3 or 4 songs that went #1 on their countdown, which was obviously in those days, it was huge. Never had a #1 on radio, but we had 3 or 4 #1s on Much Music. Yeah, no, loved Much Music. It was great. Did you ever see the Big Wheels when we pulled into Much Music on Big Wheels?
I'd have to go back and look. It's been a long time.
No worries. One time we came up with this great idea. We're like, we're gonna drive into Much Music. You know what big wheels are? Yeah, like they got the three wheels. They got a big wheel in the front and the two big wheels, round wheels in the back. So we were riding these little pink ones. So we all rode in on those. That was a lot of fun. I remember that. Much Music was great.
The first three singles on that album were top 30 hits on the Hot 100 in Canada. And then Tongue Tied and When I'm With You both went gold. Do you remember receiving the news of those accolades?
So Tongue Tied and When I'm With You, I believe they didn't go gold for like a long time.
Oh, they
Like,
were gradual over time.
yeah, it was gradual. So they didn't uh there was one that went gold and then platinum really fast. But I don't know if you have questions about that. You're probably
That's
gonna
on
get
the
into the
next
second.
album, right?
Yeah, the next
We'll
album.
we'll get to that.
Um, yeah, so those songs, no, they were slow builds. I remember getting a radio thing for Second Chance. We won a radio award, and it was like maybe one of the most, maybe top 10 most played songs in Canada or something on the radio. We got some sort of radio award for Second Chance. We got there's a bunch of random stuff we got, but yeah, yeah, yeah. So I vaguely remember.
So Tongue Tied, even today, is the band's most played song on Spotify, 36 million plays, which is an absurd number. Why do you think people love that song so much? I know why I love it. What do you think?
I think a lot of people connect to the fact of being tongue-tied. And like this is something our guitar player now, Nate, he always talks about. He's like, when we're writing songs, he's like, what's the what's the cohesive unit? What's the song title? What are we pointing to? And I think that's one thing that people love so much about Tongue Tied is it's something you can grab onto that you relate to, that is said in a way that it's the same old term, tongue tied, but it's said in a way that's new, or there's like fresh. There's a songwriting term I heard some say one time. They're like, we don't want to reinvent the wheel. We just want to put some rims on it. We don't want to reinvent the wheel. We just want to put some rims on it. And that's kind of like what tongue tied is basically we're not reinventing the wheel. We're not saying anything new. We're just saying it in a fresh way. And I think the way that we worded the chorus and the verses, and I think also the visuals. I remember I was really into songwriting at that point in time because Joey was really pushing me in the song. You got to become a better song. You got to be good. And I really took that to heart. I was like, I got to figure this out. So I was reading songwriting books and stuff. And one of the things that songwriting books talk about is show me, don't tell me, which is harder to explain than it seems. I'm sure there's a way I could explain it easily, but Joey and the boys they used to call it furniture. You need to have visuals in your song. So the first opening lines of that song, I was like, how do I make this visual? How do I paint a picture of how I'm feeling and this sort of a breakup, but I don't know if it's a breakup, but I'm kind of in a breakup. And it wasn't like an actual relationship thing. I was just trying to paint a picture of get emotion. So the first lyrics are like bright, cold silver moon. And so I was trying to think, okay, well, what does the moon look like? So I was trying to paint the picture, bright, cold silver moon, tonight alone in my room. You were here just yesterday. So I'm trying to like paint the picture and make it as visual as you could. Slight turn of the head, eyes down when you said, I can't remember the next line.
It's almost like a mini movie, just that verse.
Yeah. Yeah, totally. And it's like, that's what you're trying to do. You're trying to, songwriters, you're trying to make it poetic, but visual. And it's just, yeah, it's I can't even remember what your question, dude.
I don't know. There's lots of questions. We got 2 hours. I'm just going to bombard you with questions here anyways. In 2008, you guys get your first Juno nomination for New Group of the Year. That's one of the major categories. What did that nomination mean to you? That's Canada's Grammys acknowledging your hard work, your talent, your music.
Yeah, no, that was it was crazy. Big shout out to, Joey and 604 Records, Jonathan and Julie, and the Junos, for having us as nominees. It was big. It was awesome, man. Like we did. I think we did the red carpet that year. I think we showed up in a limo, and everybody wants to interview and stuff. It's a lot of fun. Obviously, you're really heartbroken when you don't win, but if we ever go back to the Junos and stuff, it's definitely not something that we would. We're not looking to win it necessarily because now I know it's like it's just good to see old friends and see familiar faces and connect with the artists and stuff that are there. So there's a I think it's great. I love the camaraderie that goes along with the Junos too.
Nickelback drummer Daniel Adair has a credit on the album. Did he play drums somewhere?
Yeah, he played drums. He played drums on Second Chance.
No way.
Uh, yeah, he played drums on Second Chance, which actually makes me. I gotta actually write that down because I gotta check on something.
Did he play on more than one song?
You know what, man?
Because he
To be
plays on other
100%.
albums as well. I think he has credits on the next album, maybe also.
Yeah. Yes, he does. I remember he played on "I'll Be There," and then he played on another one too. But the Second Chance. So the Foo Fighters, right? There Goes My Hero. You know that drum thing that's going on in there? So I was like, man, I want this song to have. I want it to be like some sort. I want it to be like "There Goes My Hero." I'm telling Daniel this. I was like, the drums for "There Goes My Hero." We want to get something like that. So Daniel goes in there and he comes up with that part for Second Chance, and it's kind of inspired by Foo Fighters. "There Goes My Hero." And yeah, so Daniel, dude, this guy's incredible. Such a great guy, great drummer, great musician. So yeah.
So the last single on the album is Sleepless Nights. This features Brian Mello. And I wouldn't be doing my job if I didn't reach out and get kind words from Brian Mello, gold selling Canadian Idol winner. This is what Brian says. He says, working with Faber over the years has meant a lot to me. One of my first real tours was with Faber Drive, and he showed me what it truly means to be a professional and a great showman, bringing that positive energy night after night. I'll always be grateful that they brought me out to Vancouver to be a part of the Sleepless Nights video. It meant a lot that he saw something in me and trusted me enough to be featured on one of his songs. He's an incredible songwriter, leader, and genuinely great human. Nothing but love for Faber. That's from Brian Mello.
Oh man, love you too, Brian. That means a lot, man. I hope you're well, bro. It's been too long, man. We gotta hang and do some more writing. Yeah, that guy's voice, man. He has such a great voice. Like I remember hearing his voice and being like, "Wow, this guy's voice is incredible." And so that was why we wanted him on Sleepless Nights. He's such a great voice, such a great dude. Um, I actually wrote another song with him in Nashville. Maybe 10 years ago. He was in this group. I don't know if he still is. It was a three part group, and the harmonies these guys were singing. It was a girl, a guy, and then Brian as well. There was three of them. They would just the harmony. We were sitting in this room writing this song. I can't remember what the song was there, but I remember just sitting there. They're like singing it back in perfect three-part harmony. And to this day, I still want to record that song.
You'll have to dig it up.
But yeah.
The year that Brian Mello won Canadian Idol, I was a finalist, which is how we
What?
met. So we've been friends since then. That was, I think, 17 years ago or more. It's forever ago.
Wow.
And we've been friends since then.
Crazy.
And when he plays Ottawa, I'll see him, or when he plays Toronto. And then we both started podcasts around the same time. So the first couple of years, the early days of our podcast, we used to hop on and help each other. Hey, what's working? What's not working? Like any tips to help get going. So Brian's a great friend.
Crazy. So is he still doing a podcast?
So he did it for 2 or 3 years and he
Okay.
interviewed amazing musicians.
Wow.
And then, he got married, he had a kid or multiple kids. So he's taking a little bit of a break right now, but he has an awesome podcast. And as soon as he hits the switch to start again, he'll have some amazing interviews and guests for sure.
That's amazing. So sorry, just to jump into a question for you. How long have you been doing this podcast for?
I started April of 2020, like just at the start of the
Wow.
pandemic. I was,
Wow.
I'm locked alone in a room and I'm going to go crazy. I'm a very social person. Usually I'm running events or I'm doing something social. And I thought, man, if I don't start having conversations with people, I'm going to lose my mind. So I started to
Right.
interview people that I thought were remarkable in whatever field that they're in, or if they had a
Yeah.
story that was worth sharing. And nobody
Yeah.
listened for 2 years. And then eventually I
Wow.
interviewed Chuck Daly, who was playing bass for I Mother Earth. And from that,
Wow.
Rick Jacket from Finger 11 was like, "Hey man, the pandemic, we have nothing going on. I'd love to do a 2 hour interview." So I went from nobody listening to back multi-platinum artists. And from
Wow.
there, every guest basically in the last 3 or 4 years have been gold, platinum, or multi-platinum just based on those two guests. So I have to thank
Wow.
those two guys. That's how we got here today.
Congrats, man. That's amazing. The pandemic, yeah. I refuse to call it anything other than the pandemic. That's a different story, though. So that's awesome, man. So, and then you were saying that you were a finalist in, was it Canadian Idol? Is that what you said?
Yeah, so I mean, Brian Mello wins the whole thing, and
Yeah.
we talked about Josh Ramsey, Mariana's Trench, who wrote "Call Me Maybe" for Carly Rae Jepsen. It's the best-selling single of the 21st century by a female artist. It sold like 18
Wow.
million copies. "Call Me Maybe." So Josh was a co-writer on that, and Carly Rae Jepsen was the final female finalist on Brian Mello and My Year of Canadian Idol. She was top three.
Wow.
So it was a very cool
Crazy.
year. So I finished like 46, like nothing remarkable, but
Right, right, right,
I did
right.
an acoustic version of Baby Got Back, the Sir Mix-a-Lot rap song. So I had my
Oh,
two
yeah,
minute
that's
two minute viral
awesome.
moment that I still cling to. And then Carly Rae
Wow.
went on and sold 20 million albums, and Brian Mello went on to win everything and have a gold album and all that stuff.
That's crazy, man. Well, good for you, man. Another dumb question, and forgive me if I'm taking us off the rails here. Like in my mind, I'm like, how does somebody make money? And maybe it's I don't know. I'm guessing my guess is that this is more passion than finances, but maybe hopefully within the last little while you're able to make some sort of money from this thing or something. Or is that even a thing? Like, can you make money doing podcasts?
Yeah, so it's a business like any other business, and there's a bunch
Yeah,
of ways that you can monetize. So you can
yeah.
get paid as a YouTube partner for the views. They're putting ads. So as you get more views, you get paid more in ads. And man, there's people that make millions of dollars a year from their YouTube videos. You also can get sponsors. So there's a few ads that come on during this podcast. They're paying because I have a music audience. So maybe it's a band that has an upcoming tour and they want to sell tickets. So they might promote on the show, or Long and
Oh,
McQuaid
that's
with
cool.
instruments. It's musicians listening. So they might go and rent something or buy something at Long and McQuaid. This episode has been brought to you by the Women in the Music Industry podcast. It's hosted by music producer Rob Wells, who has worked with global superstars like Justin Bieber, Ariana Grande, and Selena Gomez. Through his 1 hour interviews, he shines a spotlight on the remarkable women who are breaking barriers and making their mark in the music industry. Some of his notable guests include Morgan Lander of the multi-million selling metal band Kitty, and Pam Shane, who co-wrote Genie in a Bottle for Christina Aguilera. If you're a fan of the Joel Martin Mastery podcast, you'll love the Women in the Music Industry podcast, which is available on all platforms.
Right.
Podcast hosts, they can sell products or services. So maybe I release a book with stories from my guests, and then there's an audience that might buy that. Maybe I put on a live event and I have a few of the guests perform live and people come out and pay tickets. You can make money that way. There's a bunch of different ways that podcasters make money. And just to show the levels, you mentioned Joe Rogan. Joe Rogan's made $450 million in the last 2 years from Spotify. Call Her Daddy is the number one podcast in the world for women. So Joe Rogan's number one for men, and she's number one for women. And she's made hundreds of
Oh,
millions of
okay.
dollars. There's a Diary of a CEO with Stephen Bartlett. They just valued his company at $425 million. So that's the pinnacle of podcasting that's
Right.
available. So if you can
Right.
squeak in, and instead of getting 425 million, if you can make 100,000,
Yeah.
you're happy. So it's a
Oh,
legit
yeah.
industry for sure, and it's all I've been doing for the last 6 years. So it's my focus to be
Yeah.
able to nerd out with your favorite bands for 2 hours at a time. And that's all you do. The
Yeah.
rest of the week, you're just editing videos and promoting and preparing for interviews and
Yeah.
listening to discographies. It's about as good as it gets for a music lover.
Crazy. Another story. I got all these questions for you now. Who was the person or the artist that you were like the most like that you were like, man, this guy's like the top guy to have on my show?
most excited for. When I was growing up, this album from Stain, Break the Cycle, came out the same year as How You
Wow.
Remind Me that you were talking about, so
Yeah,
2001. I was
great album.
16, so this is the first album that I truly loved. So it's been a while. That was the big lead single.
Yeah, yeah. It's been a
And so
while.
that album meant everything to me. And then a few years ago, I had Stain's original drummer John Wysocki on as a guest, and I did two
Wow.
hours with him, and it was like my idol. And then when I got to the 100th episode of the podcast, he came back on as a special guest, and we did 2 hours where we talked about his five favorite albums. And unfortunately, a few months later, he ended up passing away. So it
Oh man.
was,
Sorry to
being
hear
able to
that.
do 4 hours of interviews with my hero, one thing, and then he passes away not that long after that. So it's kind of this bittersweet thing all wrapped up together. So that would be a highlight for sure.
Wow. Crazy. Well, that's cool that you got to interview him for sure.
Absolutely. So in 2009, you guys released the follow-up album, Can't Keep a Secret. There's four more singles, Get Up and Dance, Give 'Em Up, You and I Tonight, and The Payoff. Did you feel a tremendous amount of pressure following up the success of the previous album when writing and recording and releasing this album?
Yeah, so this is a bit of a long journey. So, I've heard Billy Corgan, singer of Smashing Pumpkins, he quoted or he said, I think he came up with this quote himself. There's no Valhalla on the top of Rock Mountain. And he said what happens is everything is fleeting. So say you have a Call Me Maybe or whatever song it is. Say you have this hit, it's a smash. What happens next is everybody comes to you and yourself, even you ask yourself, what do I have next? What do I got next? So like I remember when we did that first album, and not to be a Debbie Downer at all, but we had Tongue Tied, we had Second Chance. So Second Chance didn't do that great. Tongue Tied and When I'm With You did a lot better. And then the fourth single, Sleepless Nights, I don't want to say it flopped, but it didn't do near as good as Tongue Tied, Second Chance, and Sleepless Night, or as Tongue Tied, Second Chance, and When I'm With You. So we're, man, like, what do we do now? And so that album cycle, so you're always, it's a moving goalpost, right? You're like, even though you might have success at one point, what's happening in the next year? What's happening in the next 2 years? So you're always trying to outright yourself. You're always trying to outdo yourself, and it's a very tough world to navigate. So, what happened with the second album, we were trying to work with the first producers again, but they were just too busy. They had all these big projects going on. They said they wanted to work with us, but it was like you got to wait like 2 years, 3 years, and it's like I can't wait. Like I need
That's a
to record
lifetime
music
in a
and release it
music
now.
career.
Yeah, and it's like I have to pay bills and I have to make a living doing music. So, and the touring cycle was kind of done for the first album. We did like probably a year and a half of touring, and that was all we could get out of it. And so we were literally holed up in the barn that I turned into like a makeshift jam space slash studio. And it was me and Colin Friesen, the guy I was telling you about, the guitar player. And I basically kind of got him. I said, dude, I want to work with you. Can you help me out? Like, can we figure stuff out? So we started writing this song. Um, and it was supposed to be released under a side project called Plastic Jacket. But I sent it to our manager, and our manager like freaks out. He's like, dude, let's release this. I'm like, what are you talking about? This is like a side project. I don't want to release this as Faber Drive. This doesn't sound like Faber Drive at all. And even though it took us like 6 months of just bashing our heads against the wall to get this song to where it was, um, he's like, dude, do you have anything else? And I was like, no, I don't have anything else. He's like, well, let's go with this. And it was Get Up and Dance. And so, anyways, we ended up taking his advice and we went with it. And at the time, what happened was a lot of our fans, not all of our fans, but a lot of our fans turned against us and like, you guys are sellouts, you guys are this and that. And there was nothing in my career that frustrated me more uh, than having fans tell us that we sold out when they had no idea what was going on behind the scenes. They had no idea that was supposed to be a side project. They had no idea that the original producers didn't have time to work with us. And in the music world, what I think a lot of fans miss, and nothing against our fans, because we love our fans, they've been amazing, but it was just hard for me to have people call us sellouts. And again, obviously those guys weren't real fans, the people that were calling us sellouts. But in the music industry, what a lot of people don't realize, and this is something that I've come to realize, it took me a long time to realize it, but I think I really realized it when we worked with Joey Moy on the first album, was that the producer in certain genres and in certain aspects, the producer has everything to do with the project. And in the sense of the producer can make or break an album, can make or break a song. And like you listen to the greatest producers, you look at like Max Martin. I mean, I don't know if Max, sorry, my bad there. I can't remember. I think Max is a producer too. I can't remember. But you look at you look at the Beatles, the fifth member, right? You had I can't even remember the
George
Beatles
Martin.
producer. That's another thing I should know.
It's George Martin.
Yeah, George Martin.
He has a tremendous last name. That's how I remember.
Oh, right. Okay, good call. And then like Joey Moy, like the guy is like he's one of the greatest producers of all time. And when you don't have those producers that know, Mutt Lange is another guy. Like he did the Def Leppard Hysteria album, and like he did a lot of the AC/DC. He did the Bryan Adams stuff.
Shania.
When you have these guys that are that knowledgeable, the way I look at it is Joey and Chad Kruger, the two of those guys comboed together, Joey with the insane production mentality and Chad with the insane artistic songwriting ability, the two of them together was like, it was like this crazy combo. And so when you don't have that and you're trying to figure it out, it's tough. So we released Get Up and Dance, and again, some people turned against us, said we were sellouts, which could not be further from the truth. And then the song blew up for us, and it was great because we gained a whole bunch of new fans. We did lose some of our original fans, but we gained a bunch of new fans too with that song. And I think that song blew up, and it went 2 times platinum in Canada. And that was the one I was talking about earlier, where it actually like skyrocketed for us, and it just like flew up the charts, got played all over the radio, all over Canada. And that was a lot of fun for us because that was what we had hoped would happen with Tongue Tied or When I'm With You, that they would blow up and go up the charts really quick. There's the other side of that too, where it comes down the charts pretty quick too, right? But yeah, that was the first single off that album, and that was a crazy time.
It ended up going to number 6 on the Hot 100 in Canada. That would still be the highest charting single you've had, I would think.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I know that we've never had a number 1, and I know that we've had like a few top 10s. This from what I remember. I think When I'm With You went to like number 4 on like Hot AC radio chart.
I saw a few number 3s, number 5s in there.
Yeah.
So once you guys decided to go with Get Up and Dance as Faber Drive, did that end up influencing the rest of the album? Because you're starting with that one, and the first half of the album has a lot of the dance influence on it, more so than the second half of the album.
Mm-hmm. I would say it maybe did a little bit, but again, we were trying to, it was like, you hear about Def Leppard recording Hysteria, and before they recorded Hysteria, they were working with a bunch of producers, and they kept saying, well, what would Mutt do? What would Mutt do? And they were always chasing the Mutt, and they couldn't, no matter what producer they worked with, it wasn't Mutt Lange. And so they finally convinced Mutt to record this album. It took them 4 years to record the album Hysteria, which is insane, but it's amazing. One of the greatest albums of all time. And it was the same thing for us. So we were chasing this Joey Moy. Like, what would Joey do? What would Joey do? How do we make this better? And every producer we worked with basically was not even close, except for, I would say, Jeff Johnson was amazing to work with too. That guy's an incredible songwriter, incredible singer, incredible musician, incredible producer. So yeah, what were the singles again? It was Payoff, You and I Tonight, Get Up and Dance, and you said another one.
Give Him Up, You and I Tonight.
Give Him Up. Yeah. And Josh Ramsey, another great producer too. So working with Josh Ramsey was great because he's an amazing producer, amazing songwriter. And then working with Jeff Johnson and You and I Tonight, yeah, that song for for me is another one that I'm like really proud of, and I feel like that's going back to the first album sort of sound. You know, the 7 Second Surgery sound. You and I Tonight. It feels a little bit closer to like the When I'm With You, tongue tied type vibe.
So I'm from Ottawa. I hear there's some lore with Get Up and Dance that the inspiration for that song started in Ottawa. Is this true?
I don't think so.
So I'm gonna read what I heard is that at one point you were at a club in Ottawa and a label rep played the song Second Chance and there wasn't much of a reaction from the crowd. And you thought, man, we got to write a song that's going to get people on the dance floor. That's the lore that it was a show in Ottawa. And after that, you wrote Get Up and Dance. Is this all fake news? Is that what I'm
No, no,
peddling
no.
here?
That's true. Yeah, it's my good buddy JR and JR Anton, I think his last name is JR. He took us out one night and he got like the dance floor was packed and he got the DJ to play Get a Second Chance and everybody left the dance floor. And he's like, you want to write a song that keeps everybody on the dance floor and has even more people coming on the dance floor. So that was part of the inspiration. I don't know if that was, again, Get Up and Dance was supposed to be a side project. It was going to be a side project that I wanted to call Plastic Jacket. And it never happened. And we released it as Faber Drive. So, yeah. And then I remember too, showing one of my friends, one of my producer buddies that I really liked. And he said to me, he's like, dude, this song has to come on and it has to sound as good or better than everything else. And I'm like, yeah, but it was one of the producers. I'm like, but I was asking you to work with us and record with us and you didn't have time. So what was I supposed to do? I'm like, I worked with the best I had. We trying to get these sounds and make it sound amazing. I'd even actually love to re-record Get Up and Dance at some point and make it the way I've heard it in my head. I'd also revisit some of the verses and stuff and lyrics and stuff. But anyways, that's a different day, I guess.
In 2011, you guys get your second Juno nomination. This time it's for Pop Album of the Year. I feel like that would hit different. The first one's for New Group of the Year. So it's kind of the group and the music. And this one is for the music. Did that mean anything different to you?
The big thing I remember is we got nominated. You said Pop Album of the Year or something like that?
Yeah,
Pop
you had a little bit of competition when Bieber Fever is is in there. It's very hard to win.
Who's Justin Bieber? It's like, how are we gonna beat Justin, man? That guy, I do love Justin, man.
Damn you, Justin.
What's that?
Damn you, Justin.
Yeah, no. All the blessings of Justin. But yeah, no, that was crazy. And again, you're in great company, right? If you're getting nominated up against Justin Bieber, we were thankful and happy. We're just thankful and grateful for anything, anything and everything that we can get, kind of thing.
I'm a closet Justin Bieber fan. I always tell people my guilty pleasures. His album Purpose, I think it was about 2015. That's the year that Adele put out 25, and I put out a controversial post that's saying, I think Justin's new album is better than Adele's album. They were both up for album of the year. But that, man, Purpose, that album slaps. The whole album is incredible.
Good. So good. Yeah. Yeah, we listened to a lot of Justin Bieber when my kids were young, for sure, around the house. Yeah, he's great.
You can be honest. You're saying it's for your kids, but they're just the distraction for you wanting to listen to some Justin Bieber. Go ahead.
Yeah, no. I do love Justin, and he's real. I remember seeing the video of him singing in his bedroom with like a Bart Simpson poster in the background or something, and I remember that was the video that went viral in the beginning. And I remember arguing with people, and people like they'd watch the video like, "There's nothing special about it." I'm like, no, there is something special about this kid. I'm like, you watch that video and they're like, oh, there's a million people that can do that. I'm like, okay, well, show me who's doing this. The thing that people don't realize is that, I saw this recently too, is sometimes you can be in the presence of greatness and not know it. Like, Justin Bieber is just that little bit better than everybody else. Or than the majority, 99.999% of people. And that's why he cut to the top, is because he can sing it just that little bit better than everybody else. There's so many people that can sing, but can they sing as good as Justin? No. Most people, I mean, they're obviously like Adele and like Celine Dion, but those are the people that are at the top too. And it's like Justin's just one of those guys that just had natural ability, and obviously the development of him over the years and cutting to the top. So no, I got nothing but anything good to say about Justin. Yeah, and he's great songs that Love Yourself. If I can't remember
Love Yourself. Yeah.
Yeah, is that the name of the song? Yeah, that's such the lyrics to that song are incredible. I think Ed Sheeran wrote that song or
He
something.
did. And it's supposed to be F yourself. Like the full like fuck
Oh,
yourself. And then
right,
when it
right,
got to Justin, they're like, oh, maybe we'll do Love Yourself.
right, right. He did drop F bombs in a few other songs though.
Yeah. But anyways, man, I could talk Bieber Fever all day long, but we'll keep moving. So in 2012, you released the album Lost in Paradise. There's four more singles. Man, the first song, Set It Off, it's so catchy. There's nothing catchier than that clean guitar riff that people use, like Motown, So you know what you're doing with that clean guitar riff in there. And Dave, is that a dubstep breakdown in the song?
Oh yeah, it definitely is. Yeah, me and my producer at the time, Colin Friesen. Big shout out to Colin again. He was big into Skrillex at the time, and so was I. And I was like, bro, I'm like, we got to make a dubstep Skrillex. I mean, obviously, we didn't even come close to how amazing Skrillex is, but that was literally what we were trying to do. We were trying to go dubstep on that breakdown and Set It Off. And the funny thing is about Set It Off, the producer on that, I can't remember his name, Matt Squire, I think is Matt Squire. He produced and co-wrote a song for one of my really good friends, Alan Potker, his band called These Kids Wear Crowns. And These Kids Wear Crowns, their hit song was I can't remember what the name of their hit song is. These Kids Wear. Their hit song was Jumpstart. Right, Jumpstart. And such a great song, and that's why we wanted to work with Matt Squire, and we Set It Off. We just couldn't quite get it to where we wanted it to be, but we definitely tried.
One song I think you got it to where it needs to be is Lost in Paradise. That's my favorite song on the album. That chorus is so good.
Thanks, man. You know what? It's funny you say that. Did you know that was our favorite song for the longest time? Like of like all songs we'd ever
No,
written?
I listened to your entire discography with a good pair of studio headphones in preparation, and that's the song on that album that stood out to me, with no reference to you guys
Crazy.
liking it.
Crazy, man. That's very cool. That's funny that 10 years later, there were finally somebody else likes it as much as we like it. The only thing I think part of the reason that song didn't take off as much as we had hoped it would was because in the chorus, I think I messed up. And this is like the songwriting side of things. It's like um go to there's a part where I say you're unbelievable. And I think in the English language, when you say you're unbelievable, typically, and maybe I'm overthinking this, maybe it just wasn't as good of a song as we thought it was. When you say you're unbelievable, typically that means it's a negative thing.
Yeah.
Whereas we meant it as a positive thing, but it's like you're unbelievable. It sounds like that's unbelievable. Like and so anyways, I think we maybe got that wrong, but the melodies and the lyrics and the stuff. We wrote that one with Sean Desmond.
That's
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah, yeah, he's great. I love Sean too. We actually played with him last summer at Sauble Beach. It was really good to see him again. Great performer, great dude. Uh, yeah, so Lost in Paradise. But the one that is really exciting for us off that album is Candy Store.
With Ish.
Yeah, with Ish. And now our drummer does the Ish part. He raps it. It's pretty awesome. Seamus is doing the Ish part.
You made
It's so awesome.
Seamus audition for the band by doing the rapping part.
Doing the
Lots of
Ish
people
part.
can drum, but can they rap, bruh?
Not like Seamus can. Yeah, no, that one blew up in the Philippines, which is crazy. Oh, I got a call coming in. I gotta get this call out of here.
They be
Sorry.
calling.
Yeah. Did you hear that ringing or no?
Yeah, no, that's all good. It
Okay.
just shows how busy and important you are. It's all good.
I'm not important. I am busy, but I'm not important. Um,
So we're
uh,
talking about Seamus and his rapping skills.
yeah, and then Candy Store, like that one blew up in the Philippines. The Filipinos love that song. Filipinos, Filipinas, and we are so excited to go there later. I'm sure we'll get into that at some point here too. But that song blew up in the Philippines, and the reason I believe it didn't blow up in Canada was because I think it's slightly too cheesy for the Canadian, the Canadian
We're too
for
highbrow.
most Canadians. Too highbrow. I don't know if it's highbrow. I feel like it's cheesy. Isn't it kind of cheesy, like relating? I don't know. It's a little bit cheesy, I feel. But at the same time, it was a lot of fun to write, and it's a lot of fun to play live too. I do like that song. And then what was the other? Oh, Life is Waiting. That one went to radio too. Candy Store went to radio in Canada. Didn't do that good. Life is Waiting went to radio in Canada as well. Life is Waiting was a lot of fun. We wrote that one with a guy in LA, a guy named Andrew Goldstein, amazing producer, amazing dude. Um, yeah, yeah, I do like Life is Waiting as well.
Around the time of this album, you had this Seamus O'Neill fella join the band that you just mentioned. And I have some kind words from Seamus. Seamus says,
Oh man.
Dave is a true friend, the kind of friend that has your back, even when it's a major inconvenience to be your friend. He's solid, and not to mention one heck of a talent. So that's from Seamus.
Oh man, I love Seamus so much, man. He is definitely, I would say, the best band member I've ever had. He's great, man. He's great. He's always so positive. He's always got a great outlook. He's sometimes it's funny because Nate, our guitar player, sometimes you feel he's too negative, like when you're songwriting and stuff, when you're in the production world. And Seamus just seems to be like positive about everything. So it's like the yin and the yang, right? It's like they're both amazing because you need
One
that
on
was the
each
thing that I
shoulder
really,
kind of thing.
yeah, yeah, yeah. That was one of the things that I realized with Joey Moy is that Joey Moy wasn't a yes man. He would pick out the parts that are wrong in the song, and then it was my job or whoever's job to go and fix those parts. And you need those people. You need that filter, the high level filter. Our new producer that we're working with right now, Jason Van Poederoin, JVP. He is like that too. He's this filter where is it good enough? No, we got to make this better. Is it good enough? No, we got to make it better. He doesn't settle, and I love that. That's what set Joey apart from, I would say, all the other producers. He wouldn't. Joey's the guy when you're in the studio, you lay a guitar part down. A lot of producers I found over the year, they're like, oh, we'll just bury it in the mix. We'll just keep it, light, and if it's not good enough. And it's like, no, you can't do that. Joey had the mentality of every single part you play has to be amazing on its own, and it has to sound amazing on its own. And that's another thing with Mutt Lange too. You listen to that Def Leppard album, every single guitar part sounds amazing. Every single vocal sounds amazing. And yeah, no, Seamus, man, love you, Seamus. If you ever listen to this podcast, bro, which I know you will,
We'll make him listen to it.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
We'll
Force
sit him down
to.
in a room
Oh, I
and
love
force him.
Seamus. Yeah, love Seamus. Seamus is so positive. He's such a great vibe to have around. He's always so happy, so positive. I mean, I know he has his off days and stuff here and there, but on a whole, man, he's a great vibe to have. He's always so fun, and he's so good with the fans too. He gives the time to all the fans and like makes every fan feel special and stuff, and that's amazing. I love it.
We have a fan question from Amanda Luciano. Her question is, who's your dream artist to collaborate with? I love this band.
Oh, thank you, Amanda. I would say we've already collaborated with them, but I would love to collaborate with them again at some point. Honestly, it was Simple Plan. One of the challenging things with Simple Plan for us was that we wrote a song called Too Little Too Late with them, me and Cricket and Chuck and Pierre, and we recorded it and Pierre featured on it. The challenging part was me and Pierre's voice sounded so much the same on the recording that you can't tell who's singing what. And to this day, I'm like, I don't even know which part is Pierre singing, which part I'm singing, and like I think our voices are different, but there's also some similarities. And so when it's in the same song, it's like it can sound a lot the same. But yeah, those guys, man, we love the Simple Plan guys. They've only always ever been so good to us too, man. Like Jeff, Seb, Pierre and Chuck, man, they're just stand up dudes. Love those guys. Love writing with them. Um, yeah, I'd say those guys. But dude, if there was other bands or artists, I would probably say like Def Leppard. That would be dream for sure. Striper would be another dream come true. I'm a huge Striper fan. And then Michael W. Smith, the Christian artist, Michael W. Smith, and yeah, there's a bunch of stuff we're working on right now. We're talking to a band called Living Room for Small. I think they're out of somewhere in Ontario. They're really cool. We're talking to a band called Sucker Punch. They're really cool. There's some really good pop punk stuff in Canada right now. There's another guy in Vancouver. Oh, he's a solo artist, but he's really good. I can't remember his artist name. He's got great tunes as well. So we're really down to collaborations and uh, yeah, stuff like that. So.
So there's a big festival in Ottawa called Blues Fest. It's one of the biggest festivals in all of Canada. I go to the full 2 week festival every year. And this last summer was Def Leppard. So I was right there up front. I saw Def Leppard and I filmed them doing Pour Some Sugar on Me in the encore. And by the time they got off stage, I had already posted it and tagged them online. So they get off stage and there's already their live performance and they share it. It's the like first thing they share after the concert. So right away, every Def Leppard
Wow.
fan is watching my video. It got like 14,000 views instantly because Def Leppard is reaching everybody. So man, when they play Pour Some Sugar on Me, you're like, that is such an all-time undeniable hit.
Yeah, it's crazy too. Do you know much about the background of that song?
Uh, I know that the album was out, it was doing okay, and the moment they released that song, within a day, the album sold 800,000 copies. Like it was one of the biggest turnarounds ever from the release of something. That's probably not the story you're talking about.
No, it's not. But that's a good story too. What happened was they were recording the album. They were like 4 years or like 3.5 years into recording this album with Mutt Lang, and Mutt kept saying, "I still think we need something else. We need like the first single. We need like the massive smash." Um, And so one day, I believe the singer's name is Joe Elliott. I should know his name, but he's sitting in the corner playing an acoustic guitar. He's like, pour some sugar on me. He's singing this thing, and Mutt turns around, stops. He's like, what is that? And then Joe's like, oh, no, it's just a thing I've been farting around with. I've had it for years. And so Mutt's like, no, dude, that's the best thing I've heard in 10 years. And so then they went to the separate corners of the studio and they both started mumbling lyrics into their little voice recorder things. And then they came back and they basically built the song from scratch. And that's Pour Some Sugar on Me. And like, dude, oh, such an epic song. We've actually covered that song before with Faber Drive. Like we haven't released it, but we've played it live. It's a fun one to play.
One of your all-time raunchy songs, gets the people
Yeah.
going.
Oh yeah.
So you guys released the album we're talking about. Then there's a 13-year hiatus from that album to the Lifeline EP with some singles starting in 2018. You start releasing a bunch of singles. What led to that lengthy hiatus and what led to the reunion since the pandemic that has all the fanfare?
So so you said, sorry, when was the last, well, you said 2012, 2011, the
So
last
there's
album
the
before the hiatus?
2012 was Lost in Paradise, and then
Right.
you have
2018,
2018 is where you start releasing singles, and
the
then
next single, right.
2025 is the four song EP.
So we never actually, honestly, to be totally honest, it sounds like it's a hiatus, but we didn't actually take a hiatus. We were still going, except for I went bankrupt around, I think it was 2012. I went bankrupt uh, and basically lost everything. And I was like, you know what? Screw this. I'm out. I'm done with the music industry because I wasn't willing to lose my wife and kids, and I knew I had to be the provider for the family. And so I started driving truck, and I drove truck for 5 years. So I drove truck for a ready mix company, concrete cement truck, and I did that for 5 years, and I got completely out of debt, paid off all my debts, um, and or well, when you go bankrupt, you don't have to pay off any debts. But I built up my whatever you call it, your thing again, built up my finances and stuff, and so I drove truck for 5 years, and that was like that job. I say to this day was the best job I've ever had. And the reason being, for me, being a musician and an artist and a manager and all that stuff, is there's so much stress I find, like in the music industry. You're always chasing moving goalposts. But when I was sitting in my truck by myself and singing worship songs and delivering concrete to the next job, and then I sit in the truck for 10 to 12 hours a day every day, 10 to 12 hours a day is what you're commonly doing, driving cement truck. And I loved it. I got to sit in a truck by myself, no stress. You just show up to work, you deliver the concrete, and then you come home. And it was an easy job. Like, it was like, there's a lot of responsibility with a big truck like that, but you're literally just sitting in your truck, and then you stand at the back of your truck. You're not like out there working. And so I loved the job. It was very, very low stress. I was super appreciative. That was great. I also became a firefighter because I was like, I gotta pay bills. I gotta make a living. I did firefighting for 2 years, and I did the truck driving for 5 years. And the only reason I did the firefighting for only 2 years was because I loved it. It was great. Shout out Station 3, Chief Sikora in Mission, and Howie and all the boys, Tim and Colin. It was great. But they that was an amazing job too. There's a lot of military training, and you learn how to, be calm in what can be like, death-threatening situations, or whether they're accidents or cars on fire, having heart attacks and stuff. So it's a heavy job. You're a first responder, but it was a great job. I learned a lot from it, and I loved it. And the only reason I quit it was because, okay, I got my family. I'm driving truck, and I need to drive truck because I have to pay the bills. And I was getting back into songwriting, and I wasn't willing to lose my family. I was getting into songwriting. I had to drive truck, and so I just didn't have enough time in the day. So I was like, okay, it's either songwriting or firefighting, like musician or firefighting. And I decided to pull the plug on the firefighting so that I'd have enough time to do songwriting and keep the band, kind of start doing some more band stuff again. So that's kind of what happened.
We've made it all the way from your earliest musical memory up to the Lifeline EP. This comes out April 25th, 2025. There's 4 songs, 2 originals, 2 covers. The song Lifeline, that's the most punk song that I've heard in the discography for Faber Drive. Man, Seamus has to really work for his supper on that song on the drums, I think. And do crowds ever chant back at you the different parts in the songs and the haze and that stuff when you play it live?
You know what? I don't think it was from when we played it last summer at like Sable Beach and Blue Water Border Fest and then All Your Friends Fest. I don't think the fans knew the song well enough at that point.
Wasn't out long enough yet.
Yeah.
Well, maybe next tour they'll be singing it.
Yeah. But Deathbed, they definitely sing along with Deathbed. And everybody seems to know that song.
So there's 2 covers. One of them, the cover is an artist that pretty personally. Do you want to share that info and how that song blew up during the pandemic?
Yeah, it was crazy. So that's Pao Fu. That's his real name's Isaiah Faber. It's my son. Very proud of him. He's a good kid, good person, good man, good father, good husband. Loves God, loves Jesus, and he released that song in 2020, and it just blew up. Like, and the funny thing is, he didn't really have anything to do with the fact that it blew up, except for that he wrote an amazing song. But it just blew up on TikTok on its own kind of thing. I've just always loved the song. And then I'm like, I just think there's so many songs, fast forward and jumping off that, there's so many songs in the world that can be turned into pop punk songs. And like, remember those Pop Goes Punk albums? I don't know if you remember those.
Yep.
And like, I just think those are genius. It's like you can take these crazy, like there's a band called Quiet Drive, actually. They do a cover of Time After Time, and it's such a great pop punk version of Time After Time. And there's like Alien Ant Farm, and they did the Michael Jackson song
Smooth Criminal.
Yeah, Smooth Criminal. They also didn't they do Annie, Are You Okay?
That is Smooth Criminal.
Yeah, Smooth Criminal. And like, so I just think that sometimes pop songs or different style songs can become pop punk. And so that's kind of what we did with Deathbed when Palfu's song blew up. And I was like, I just had this idea, like, maybe a couple of years ago to turn it into a pop punk song. And our producer JVP really nailed the production on it. And I'm really proud of the pop punk version that we've done. And it goes over really well live. People seem to just love it. It's just a really good feel good we find when we play it live. Everybody just sings along. They're happy. They're putting their arms up. And that one's a ton of fun to play live. But yeah, and we could talk more about Palfu too, because I'm really excited. He's got a tour coming up actually, which I'm really excited about. That's in April.
Sometimes we say, oh, a song blew up, and you're thinking like, oh, it got a million plays or something. When we say that song blew up, it is like hundreds of millions of plays and multi-platinum, not just in Canada, which is one thing, but multi-platinum in the US and around the world. I think the song has, what is it, like 700 million plays? Like it has some absurd number.
Yeah, so on Spotify, it's almost at 2 billion.
Oh my God. I undersold it by saying 700 million plays.
That's okay. That's okay. Yeah, on Spotify alone, it's almost got 2 billion. The complete consumption worldwide, I believe, is almost 5 billion now. Yeah, and it's gone like one of the countries, I can't remember what country it is. I think it might be Malaysia or something, but they have a really low platinum thing, so it's like 21 times platinum. I think it's Malaysia or something like that.
You know
And
what's
there's like,
cooler
yeah,
than 1 million? 1 billion.
oh yeah. Billionaire is the new millionaire, right? Back when I was a kid, probably maybe even for you, I don't know. I think you're quite a bit younger than me, but when I was a kid, it was that guy's a millionaire. No way. And
Yeah,
now
now
it's like, oh,
now a millionaire means you can get like a bigger cardboard box in Toronto to rent out. Like it's nothing
exactly.
anymore. So
Yeah.
he's not only your son, but you manage him, I believe. Is that correct?
Yeah, yeah, that is correct. Yeah.
So why I think that is awesome is who better to manage an artist than someone that's been through the highs and lows of the music industry for several decades and someone that has decades of experience navigating such a wild and unforgivable industry. And last but not least, a lot of people in the music industry don't have the best intentions for their artists. It's how can we make the most money, sometimes at the expense of the well-being of their client. In your case, who truly cares about How Fu more than you, really, right? You might make decisions that maybe aren't the best financial decision. Like, hey, we can make $1 million off of this, but you might choose something that's better for him as a person and as your son, I would think. So I think you're perfect with everything involved with you as a manager.
Thanks, Joel. I agree with that for sure. There's also the side of I believe Britney Spears' dad ripped Britney Spears off. There's that Michael Jackson's dad. I believe Michael Jackson had nothing to do with him, for years. I don't even know if they ever made up or not. But so there are, I would say, I loosely say because I don't know their stories 100%, but I would loosely say like evil parents. It's like, why wouldn't you want the best for your kid? I think. I think there's a few things about this. So first of all, a big thing for us is that Isaiah is a Christian and I'm a Christian, and so we have the foundation of Jesus Christ. And the foundation of Jesus Christ is like, don't be selfish, have self-discipline, love the Lord your God with all your heart, soul, strength, and mind, and love your neighbor as yourself. So when you have those things as your foundation and money isn't your foundation, you think a lot different in life, and your focal point and your focus on life is a lot different. So like Isaiah, like there's definitely been times, like there's been people that have wanted to buy Palfu's catalog, and for years it was something that we weren't interested in. Recently we actually got interested in it, but it was just one of those things. Isaiah didn't want to do something for the money. He wanted to do something because he thought it was a good decision or the right decision. And yeah, I just think he's level-headed. He doesn't let the music industry overpower who he is, which again, I think a lot of people get consumed by money and greed and more power and how much this next single is going to be the biggest song in the world. And Isaiah doesn't let those things get to him, so it's great. I love working with him, man. He's very, very smart. He's very hardworking. He's very driven. The thing that I've found with him in comparison to other artists I've seen over the years is that he literally writes songs every day. And he doesn't drink, he doesn't do any drugs, he doesn't party. Not that I have anything against drinking, but again, it's that one thing that I think, like my co-manager Chris Taylor says, he says the music industry is 1,000 little things. It's not just one thing. And it's so true, right? It's like consistency. It's this, it's this, all these different things. And so like when you don't drink is one of your little things, and you don't do drugs and it's one of your little things. And then you write every day, that's one of your little things. You stay true to your word is one of your little things. All these little things that stack up on top of each other um, are super beneficial. And yeah, I'm proud of him, dude. I got the shirt on right here. Woo. Pow Fu. Pow Fu tour shirt.
Yeah,
Actually,
baby.
I'll take this hood off. This was I can't remember which tour this was, but the Flooding the Gates tour. But the back is dope too. Got all the dates on there. Kind of cool, eh?
That's awesome. 2022, it says in the top corner.
Right, right. Yeah, and then he's got his next tour coming up here, man. April, North America. Super excited. 22 cities, I believe. It's called the Lo-Fi Library Club. He's bringing out some of his friends, and really excited. I'm going on the first little bit of the tour, but I can't do the whole thing because we got to get ready for the Philippines shows coming up May 8th and May 9th.
How close does he get to Ottawa? Probably Montreal or Toronto?
Montreal, we're hitting Montreal and Toronto, yeah.
Before we wrap up, I want to give you a platform to share as much or as little as you'd like about what's coming up for Faber Drive in 2026. And to kick it off, there's a fan question from Bev. Is there an upcoming album coming soon?
So there's a few things I'll try to answer. There's a few. I definitely thanks for asking this question, Joel. And yeah, we're really, really, really excited about this year. We just signed on with Pack In, who's the biggest booking agency in Canada. Vinny, Jason, Matt, and Aaron Schubert. Those are our four booking agents there. We just signed on with Andrew Valley. He's our manager now. So we got a crazy year. We are re-releasing a special album in May. I'm not going to say what album it is yet. And then we are also going on tour. We will be officially announcing that it's either March or April. I can't remember. But we're doing a cross Canada tour. We're really excited about that. And then we're also working on a brand new EP right now with our producer, Jason Van Puderon, JVP. I was telling you about him. He's awesome. And we're actually going in next week to Bryan Adams' studio in Vancouver. It's called The Warehouse. We've never recorded there, so we're super excited about that. And yeah, lots going on. Then we're going to the Philippines. We got a whole bunch of summer festivals too. I don't think any of them are announced yet, the summer festivals that we're playing, but we're playing like I think it's like 10 summer festivals or something. Plus, we're doing an 80s party in Smithers for our good friends Kent. Kent lives out there, Kent Dowich, and Dave and the boys out there. They have us come back to the celebrity golf tournament every second year. They've been doing it for like 10 years or something. They have us every second year come out. It's a lot of fun. And so we're doing an 80s party for them this year. And that's going to be crazy. Super excited about that as well. I can't remember if there's anything else I wanted to talk about. Yeah, the new songs with JVP are going to be crazy. This is going to be a 6-song EP. And then I also got my countryside project, which I'm really excited about as well, too. I mean, that's a lot of fun. I love country. I'm a big country fan. And so, yeah, that's fun, too.
Do you have a target window in the year when you're looking to release the EP or any singles in advance? Like, are you thinking first quarter, third quarter, end of the year? I'm trying to squeeze out as a fan anything I
Yeah,
can get
no
here.
worries. Yeah, no, you're good. So it'll be summer when the first single will be coming out off of the EP, but we are releasing, like I said, we're doing a re-release, and it's going to be a big thing happening around the re-release too. Um, yeah, so the re-release, and then I think we're going to do our first vinyl. which we're really excited about. We've never had vinyl before, so first time doing vinyl. And yeah, 604 Records is going to be helping us with that. So that's very exciting. So yeah, I would say the first single off of that new EP though will be Summertime. It'll probably be like June is my guess, June, July, and then the tour in the fall.
We have the final fan question. I don't know if you can answer the specifics of this, but Annie Choi asks, will there be Toronto concerts anytime soon? So can you divulge nothing specific, but do you think you would hit up Toronto?
100%. Toronto is definitely on the list of places that we will be hitting this year for sure. So we can't wait to see you, Annie. We love you so much. And thank you for being so supportive of us over the years and coming out to so many shows. And please say hi to your mom too. Annie's a real sweetheart. She comes out to she was at Sauble Beach this year, and she was right at the front in the front row there. She's been a fan for a long time. She's really cool.
We've made it to the final few questions. When you look back on your life and career, what are you most proud of?
I am most humbled that God has blessed me. I feel I'm very grateful and thankful for the gifts that God has given me, and I don't take them lightly. And I'm extremely proud that all of my children love God. They love people. They're great people. My four children. My daughter, her name's Patience, and she has a music project too called Sleeping, and it's spelled sleep and then a period and then ing, so sleep.ing. She's on quite a few songs with Palfu as well, which is really cool. Very proud of Isaiah and his wife Tashi. They're amazing. My daughter Patience and her husband Christian, and then my youngest son Dayton and my youngest daughter Faith. And my wife, man, she's like, that's the thing. I could have never done any of this stuff without my wife. She is so supportive. I've put her through a lot of shit, and she is just so awesome. She has, stuck with me through the thick and thin. And yeah, Ricarda, her name's Ricarda. She's awesome, and she's coming to the Philippines with me this year, so she's really excited about that, and so am I. And yeah, she's amazing. And then my in-laws too, like Rick and Wilma Bowl, they're such sweethearts that we raised our children in their basement suite for 20 years, and they were just awesome, and they still are awesome. They live in Lethbridge now. And then yeah, I'm just grateful and thankful for my sisters, my brother Brian, and my sisters Louise, Elaine, Sarah, Joy. And yeah, just proud that made it here.
Final two questions. If you could sit down next to your 10-year-old self and you could whisper words of advice, taking everything you've learned since 10 years old, the lessons, the experiences, the mentorship, the highs and lows, the dreams fulfilled, the heartbreak, what do you whisper to cute little Dave sitting there to help guide him through this human experience?
Put God first and stand on the rock of Jesus Christ is 100% what I would tell him. And I believe the 10-year-old me believed in Jesus too. And even through the ups and downs of life, that's the one consistency that I've had. I've made many mistakes in my life. I've done many things wrong, but I'm very thankful. And yeah, and don't give up, and don't doubt yourself on things that you're excited about. Do them, and tackle them head on. And I think, I don't think I would be the person I am today if I hadn't made the mistakes I've made, and I hadn't gone down the paths. And you watch so many of these guys that are like life lecturers and that write amazing books and stuff, and these like gurus like Tony, I can't remember his name,
Tony Robbins.
Tony Robbins and guys like that. It's like you don't learn from your wins, you learn from your mistakes. And the wins are great, but it's all the mistakes, and it's like keep coming back. And the music industry is just rejection after rejection. And for some reason, I've just been too stubborn to quit the music industry completely. I guess I kind of quit it when I went bankrupt and started driving truck, but I think I knew in my heart that I'd come back at some point.
Is there anything you'd like to say to the fans that have supported you over Faber Drive's 22-year career?
Yeah, thank you so much, guys. Like, we could not have done anything that we've done. Our Filipino fans, our American fans, our Canadian fans, the fans all over the world, UK, Brazil, yeah, Australia, Singapore too. Just thank you guys. Like, we know that we wouldn't be able to release music if we didn't have fans that were listening to it and supporting us. And you guys are awesome. The Faber Four, they were the original. And they came to Sauble Beach. That was great to see them again too. Yeah, there's so many fans. Annie has been around for years too, and she's such a big fan. Shona, there's so many fans that have stuck it out with us, and we're so appreciative. We can't wait to see you guys again too in VIP for the upcoming tour, because we will be doing VIP again as well. And yeah, thank you guys. God bless you guys, and thanks for the support.
So, as we wrap up, I want to take a moment to acknowledge you for your lifelong pursuit of mastery as a singer, as a songwriter, as a guitarist. I want to commend you for having a big vision for your life, for setting goals, for working towards them on a daily basis. You've shown the rest of us what's truly possible if we commit to that vision that we have. I want to thank you for putting out great music that's become the soundtrack to the lives of millions of people from around the world. I've been a fan for 17 years. Tongue Tied got me, man. Once it gets its claws into you, it doesn't let go. And last but not least, I want to say thank you for this interview, sitting down with me for the last 2 hours, answering all my ridiculous questions. So, Dave, thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Oh, Joel, I really appreciate you too, man. It's been an honor, and it's been a big blessing, man. Thank you so much for having me on here and letting me spill my guts about the years that have gone by. And dude, congrats on such an amazing podcast too, man. I can't wait to listen to more. I was listening to the Jeff Stinko, and he was talking about Def Leppard last night too when I was listening to the podcast. I can't wait to listen to Ill Scarlet. Love those guys, Alex and the boys, Suave. Those guys are great too, man. We've done a bunch of shows with them. Thank you so much, Joel. Been a fun one. Really appreciate it. And yeah, 2 hours goes a lot faster than you think it's going to go when you're talking to a seasoned podcaster.
6 years, baby. It's a lifetime almost. Well, thank you so much for the kind
That's
words.
awesome.
To the Dave Faber fans, to the Faber Drive fans, to the podcast fans, thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you on the next episode.
Peace.
If you've enjoyed today's episode, please take a moment to subscribe, like, comment, and share. Who would you like me to feature next for a 2-hour deep dive interview? You can let me know in the comments. You can also send me an email at joelmartinmastery@gmail.com, or you can reach out to me on all social media platforms at joelmartinmastery. So I am done. I am complete. I approve this message, and I'll see you on the next episode.